The opening prayer. The opening prayer. Father, Lord, we want to thank you for our gathering here right from Tuesday. We thank you for your divine protection all through up until this moment. We thank you because as we even move along to the opening ceremony and all other ceremonies, your abiding presence will be with us, and it shall be well all through. And by the time we start to return to our various destinations, the journey mercies of God will also go with us. Thank you very much. Shall we all sit? Because I know that we have Christians and we have Muslims. May I say, praise the Lord. Takbir. Takbir. Thank you. So my first duty is to quickly introduce our dignitaries who are already here. Of course, we do have the chairman of the occasion. He's already here. We have our guest lecturer. Unfortunately, the Minister of Health, Dr. Sagie Ehanire, is not here yet. Do we have anybody representing the Honorable Minister of Health? Just let me confirm. None. Thank you. Honorable Minister of Women Affairs, anybody representing him? Do I wait? Is anybody representing him? No. Then, of course, the chairman of this occasion, the former Minister of Health, as well as former Vice Chancellor of the only university in Nigeria. Incidentally, this conference hall was built during his tenure as the Vice Chancellor of the University of Ibadan. I want to get into trouble, and when you get into trouble with women, your case is irredeemable. I said UI is the only university in Nigeria. I'm not getting any protest anywhere. What I'm trying to say is that whatever universities you attended, and it's not UI, it is a satellite campus of UI. Am I safe? I'm safe to leave this hall when we finish. I said that because of our chairman who is here to honor him. Distinguished ladies, our chairman is a professor of gynecology and obstetrics par excellence. And without wasting time at all, I'm going to invite him up here. May I invite, while I ask the ushers to kindly lead him up here, Professor Isaac Folorunsho Adewale. Please put your hands together for him as he comes. When I was told that he was going to be chairman of this occasion, I asked myself, I said, why not a woman? Then I remembered that he's actually also married to a woman. Perhaps that's the reason why he was asked to come and chairman this occasion. I'm not sure that the chairman of the Board of Trustees is here. I don't think Mommy is here. I haven't seen her. Of course, our national president, I imagine, will be leaving us in a short while. I don't know whether she wants to leave now or we should invite you up here briefly. I should invite you, ma. Good. So please, welcome to the high table, M1 National President, Dr. Minimin Oseji. Put your hands together for her as she comes. I don't know if you have the chairman of the NMA here. Chairman of NMA or your Dr. AGA Fasola is here. Please put your hands together for him as he comes. Before you start accusing me of being a misogynist, that is only men I'm inviting here, apart from the president. Representing the Board of Trustees, I'm told that Dr. Mrs. Okara is here. Please, can you kindly also come to the high table? Ushers, please, can you lead her to the high table? I deliberately left our guest speaker, who will be talking about later on when she's about to deliver her lecture. But at this point, it is with humility that I invite our guest lecturer of the 20th Dr. Abimbola Awoniyi Memorial Lecture. Please welcome to the high table Pastor Mrs. Ibukun Awushika. Last but certainly not the least, before the program takes off, may I invite the President-elect, the National President-elect, Dr. Adikemi Otolorin. Please put your hands together for her. She's so energetic that you almost think that she still has the energy of a 30-year-old. And that's the reason why you see that she's up and about to make sure that the whole ceremony and the whole arrangement comes out seamless. Please put your hands together once again for her as she comes. Because of time, all other introductions we'll be doing as we move from one item of the program to another. But one more person, necessarily I have to invite her to the table, to the high table, because she's going to actually kickstart the program with a welcome address. The President, MWAN Oyo, Dr. Omolara Olushola Taiwo. The chairman of the occasion, all other protocols ideally observed. We now kickstart the opening ceremony properly as I welcome the president of MWAN Oyo, Dr. Omolara Olushola Taiwo, to deliver her welcome address. Please put your hands together once again for her.
Good morning. Please permit me to stand on the existing protocol so that we can save time. I welcome everybody to this occasion. On behalf of the Oyo State Chapter of the Medical Women's Association of Nigeria, MWAN, I welcome you all to the ancient city of Ibadan and to the opening ceremony of the 22nd Biennial and General Assembly of this great association. I am most delighted that MWAN Oyo, where the association started over 46 years ago, won the hosting rights to this conference by virtue of the fact that we will be hosting the National Secretariat of MWAN once again for the next 2 years after a period of about 32 years. Indeed, the chicken has come back home to roast. The theme The theme, Leadership, Governance, and Women's Health, that has been chosen for this conference emphasizes the need to have leaders in government who will put up policies and programs that will impact positively on the health of women. It also encourages having women in position of responsibility in government so that they can advise on and ensure that problems peculiar to women and their health are placed on the front burner, bearing in mind that healthy women make healthy families, and healthy families make healthy nations. The theme is also particularly in line with this year's theme for the International Women's Day, which says, Women in Leadership, Achieving an Equal Future in a COVID-19 World, bearing in mind the tremendous effect the COVID-19 pandemic is having on the whole human race in general and on women's health in particular, with a surge in cases of gender-based and intimate partner violence, lack of access to screening, and treatment of sicknesses peculiar to women like breast and cervical cancer, and a whole lot more of other negative impact this disease is having on women. The local organizing committee of this 22nd Biennial Conference of MWAN has therefore relentlessly and purposefully planned over the past months a program worthy of MWAN and the theme of this conference. I therefore encourage all to take advantage of this well-packaged conference by participating fully in all its parts. Sincere appreciation to MWAN or your elders, mothers, sisters, and colleagues, too numerous to mention, for your support in hosting this conference. To our amiable and purposeful chair of the local organizing committee and our team of subcommittee chairperson and members, I say a big thank you to you and congratulate you on a job well done. Once again, I welcome all our M1 sisters from all the states of the Federation and the Federal Capital Territory to this conference. I wish you all a fruitful and memorable stay in Ibadan, the city of brown roofs and the roots of M1. Thank you very much.
Straight away, before we go to the next item, I'm told that the international president of MWAN, Dr. Eleanor Nwadinobi, is online. She's with us on Zoom, I believe. You are most welcome, wherever you are right now. We acknowledge your presence by virtual. Next, we will be having the national president once again. This time, according to the program, she will be making her remarks, the roll call and presentation of M1 state branches. May I invite again Dr. Mrs. Mininim Oseji. Please put your hands together for her as she comes.
Please just bear with me. There is a slight hitch in the technology that I'm using.
I want to thank you so much. Please, the Honorable Chair of this occasion, distinguished ladies and gentlemen on the high table, particularly our guest speaker, a lady I have admired so much on social media and in the news and various spheres of life. I'm so excited to be sitting on the same table with you. I feel honored and humbled at the same time. We have MWAN active in the 36 states of Nigeria and the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja. Please, can we give us a big hand for that feat? We are yet to have the formal inauguration of 3 states, namely Nasarawa, Yobe, and Jigawa. And we hope that when they do have their formal inauguration, they will have the right to vote and be voted for. However, at this present time, they are able to participate in MWAN activities going on across the country, and they are also able to receive support from the MWAN National Secretariat. That said, I will do the roll call now. Abia State, are you here? So I will just call, and when I call, you just stand. Abia State, stand. Adamawa State, Akwa Ibom, Anambra, Bauchi, Bayelsa, Benue, Borno, Cross River, Delta, Ebonyi, Edo, Ekiti, Enugu, Federal Capital Territory, Gombe, Imo, Jigawa, Kaduna, Kano, Katsina, Kebbi, Kogi, Kwara, Lagos, Nasarawa, Niger, Ogun, Ondo, Osun, Oyo, Plateau, Rivers, Sokoto, Taraba, Yobe, and Zamfara states. So some of them are participating virtually, but MWAN is everywhere in Nigeria. Can we give ourselves a big hand? I expected that my address will be in the program, but either I can't find it or it's not there. So I'm going to have to read the online version that I submitted for publication in the program. And if it's not in the program, out of my Christian heart, I forgive whoever made that error. Once again, permit me to stand on the existing protocol. It is with great pleasure that I welcome all our guests and delegates to this occasion of the opening ceremony of the 22nd MWAN Biennial Conference and General Assembly taking place in Ibadan. I wish to use this opportunity to thank all who have contributed to making the 2019 to 2021 biennium an MWAN biennium to remember. Standing on the shoulders of 21 giants and with the help of a vibrant national executive, a lot has been done to contribute to fulfilling our aim of improving the health of women and children and expanding the role of women in the achievements and maintenance of health in the state and nation during this biennium. We also carried out programs targeted at achieving the Sustainable Development Goals, particularly Goals 3 and 5, as well as the Beijing Declaration and Platform for Action. The theme of the 2019 to 2021 biennium was male involvement in maternal and child health. And the sub-themes included maternal and neonatal tetanus elimination, elimination of harmful traditional practices, especially female genital mutilation, economic empowerment of women for health and women in health, overcoming intimate partner violence. Since September 2019, the MWAN National Secretariat has implemented programs in line with the theme and sub-themes and has recorded several achievements, notable of which are production of the first Nigerian president of the Medical Women's International Association in the person of Dr. Elena Wadinobi, fostering greater male involvement in maternal and child health with the selection and decoration of M1 male champions. We have 16 of them, including our president, Muhammadu Buhari, and a governor, the governor of Delta State, Senator Dr. Ifeanyi Okowa. Inauguration of the M1 Senior Members Forum, organization of the 9th Regional Congress of the MWIA near Eastern African region in Abuja, launch of the Women's Right to Health Information Worthy projects in early detection and treatment of breast cancer in 16 states, launch of the Women's Right to Health Information on early detection and treatment of cervical cancer in 13 states, screening for cervical cancer with 7 states benefiting, treatment of breast cancer with 6 states benefiting, treatment of cervical cancer with 6 states benefiting. Training of medical doctors on thermal ablation for treatment of pre-malignant cervical lesions with the practical components organized in 5 different geopolitical zones. Production and distribution of cervical screening and breast self-examination flyers to 10,000 primary health centers across the nation. Implementation of a pilot demonstration project involving the adoption of 16 health facilities in 14 states by M1 to promote maternal, newborn, and child health. And through this project, we were able to contribute to the reduction of cases of neonatal tetanus in Zamfara State. Implementation of a 5-point COVID-19
recording
response,
in progress,
including telemedicine in partnership with Mobi Health and Dr. Connect. Promotion of innovation in patient safety and medical education in collaboration with the Joint Commission International and World Continuing Education Alliance. Implementation of various interventions to reduce violence against women and girls, including a call for a national task force for elimination of violence against women and girls occurring through ritual. Economic empowerment of women for health and women in health, reactivation and digitization of the Journal of the Medical Women's Association of Nigeria, JM1, production of several publications to archive our efforts such as newsletters, revised menstrual hygiene book, medical women's behind the Congress, M1 Pink Donor book, and so much more. It is my firm belief that if more of our professional health associations took up at least one challenge in healthcare and focused on addressing it like M1 has been doing, we will have a better story to tell about the state of the Nigerian health sector. I urge everyone to give maximum support to my successor, Dr. Lilian Otolori, and her team as we implement a smooth and peaceful transition at this conference and General Assembly. Finally, I wish to appreciate the local organizing committee of the conference led by their amiable chair, Dr. Olulola Oladapo, for a job well done. The choice of the theme of the conference, which is leadership, governance, and women's health, speaks to areas that ought to be given priority for addressing numerous challenges in healthcare in the nation, such as the COVID-19 pandemic, as well as insecurity of life and property. Long live M1. Long live the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Thank you and God bless. I am Dr. Mininim Oseji, M1 National President 2019 to 2021.
Thank you very much. Our national president. I wonder why I said our. It's medical women. Someday we will have Medical Men Association of Nigeria. At this point, we are going straight on to the chairman's opening remarks. I'm going to ask all of us, please, to kindly be attentive. He is an orator, and when he speaks, you just must listen, because he will engage you adequately. And so, he's always very prompt. Please put your hands together for Professor Isaac Folonsho Adewale.
Thanks. The president of Medical Women's International Association, who is participating virtually at this meeting, Dr. Elano Nwadinobi, National President of MWAN, Dr. Mininin Oseji. Our prayers are with you and with your husband, and we pray that the divine hand of God will touch him, and when you get to Abuja, he will be hale and hearty. The 20th Dr. Abimbola Awoliyi Memorial Lecturer, Pastor Ibukun Awoshika, President-elect, MWAN, Dr. Adekemi Otolorin, Chairman Oyo Enemy, Dr. Ayo Fasunla, Chair MWAN Oyo State, Dr. Malara Olushola, the Chair of the BOT, ably represented by a member of the BOT, who is also past President MWAN 1995 to 1997, Dame Ebime Okara, members of the executive of MWAN, members of the LOC, my teacher and brother in the audience, who is also a supporting partner of the President-elect, Professor E.O. Otolori, a man among women. You are blessed, sir. I also want to appreciate my classmates in the audience, Professor Wura Olashokunbi, and by extension, many sisters, seniors, mentors, elders in this audience. Many were my teachers in the past, and many were also my colleagues. The president, the provost of the College of Medicine, Professor Olayinka Akim Olanyinka Omigbodu. I can also see the deputy provost, an able supporter of the provost. May I invite the provost to come to the high table using my prerogative as chair of this occasion? She is the first female provost of the College of Medicine. Members of MWAN, distinguished participants participating physically and virtually, and the first stadium. I commend the leadership of MWAN Oyo State, led by Dr. Malara Olushola Taiwo, and the local organizing committee for the meticulous preparation for hosting this conference. Your mobilization is excellent. The electronic coverage of all events associated with this meeting is first rate, and I say a big congratulations and offer a warm welcome to the National MWAN President, Dr. Mininin Oseji, and congratulate my sister, Dr. Adekemi Otolorin, National President-elect of MWAN, ahead of our inauguration tomorrow. My sister, I wish you a successful and action-packed tenure. I appreciate Pastor Ebukun Awoshika, the 20th Awuli Memorial Lecturer, and commend Her Excellency, the Oyo State Governor, for what he's doing in the health sector. The core mission of the association is to improve the lives of women, young girls, children, and communities in Nigeria by embarking on health awareness campaign and providing essential health services. The motto of MWAN is Matris Animo Current, which means to heal with the spirit of a mother. The association organizes a national conference every 2 years. These meetings feature deliberations on critical health matters affecting the citizens of Nigeria. The theme of this year's conference is leadership, governance, and women's health. The sub-themes are women's health among the COVID-19 pandemic, data management in healthcare delivery, access to oral health care, and community's role in youth development. MWAN carefully chose the theme and sub-themes to address the various challenges affecting optimal care delivery in the Nigerian health space. The deliberate identification of linkage between community and youth development is particularly fascinating. The choice of Pastor Ebukun Awoshika to deliver the 20th Dr. Abimbola Awoshika Memorial Lecture, Awoli Memorial Lecture, is a worthy one. She's a well-respected motivational speaker whose reputation extends beyond the shores of Nigeria, carving a role for MWAN in the health space. The health system refers to the organizations, institutions, and resources devoted to producing health actions whose primary intent is to improve health. The health system comprises 7 main pillars: healthcare financing, health workforce, access to essential medicines, information management systems, service delivery, leadership and governance, and critical health research. Of these 7 pillars, the health workforce is the most critical. We are at a critical junction in Nigeria, and our healthcare system is begging for help. The voice and participation of women in the leadership space is abysmal. Women have multiple roles as physicians, leaders, mothers, teachers, mentors, and role models. You are too quiet, and this is the time to be heard. The Nobel laureate, Wole Soyinka, stated, the man, and I beg to add women, dies in all who keep silent in the face of tyranny. The last time we had a female national president of NMA was about 36 years ago. It is time to have another, a second one in the history of our association. We can address many critical health and related issues affecting our nation, like maternal mortality, poor immunization coverage, malnutrition, drug abuse, and the menace of out-of-school children, if we empower our women and rise to the occasion. True, you cannot do it alone, but men will join you if you are in the driver's seat. Women can also solve the present ongoing industrial action through their roles as first ladies at federal and state levels, legislators, and ministers. Health was once considered a drain on expenditure in past years, and the contributions made by women to human development were unappreciated. Things are changing fast. The relationship between health systems, health, and wealth is complex, but they are closely linked. Investing cost-effectively in health system can therefore contribute to the ultimate goal of improving societal well-being. There is tremendous value in health and around health. Health and wealth mutually reinforce each other. Health systems are a catalyst for both. Increasingly, better health is now hailed globally as a driver of economic growth. The field of women's health has lagged far behind in treating illnesses and professional disease prevention and attention. The situation is evident in many countries in the world. Women's health, and consequently the health of boys and girls, is a critical factor and a central strategy in human development. We need to provide credible knowledge and data on what women empowerment can do to uplift our nation. Educate a girl, you educate a nation. Your reach is infinite and your capabilities are enormous. We need to strategically harness these capabilities into a potent force for the good of not only our health and education space, but our entire nation. Women are critical agents for development. They play a catalytic role in achieving transformational economic, environmental, and social changes required for sustainable development. Empowering them is essential for the well-being of individuals, families, and rural communities, and overall economic productivity, given women's significant presence in the agricultural workforce worldwide. The COVID-19 pandemic has created untold challenges globally. The World Health Organization declared the outbreak a public health emergency of international concern and a global pandemic. This global threat to health security underscores the urgent need to accelerate progress on achieving sustainable development goals and the need to scale up international cooperation to deliver on SDG 3 massively. And their response can exacerbate gender inequality and derail hard-won progress, not only on SDG 3, but on all the SDGs. COVID-19 has largely interrupted many countries' plans, slow or reverse development, and is threatening to undo many of the gains on gender equality of the past 25 years. Working together with commitment and with bold policy, we can shift course and accelerate progress. Women and men have different healthcare needs, but an equal right to live healthily. For many women and girls, however, gender discrimination systematically undermines their success to healthcare, their access to healthcare, for reasons that include fewer financial resources and constraints on mobility. Additional pressures imposed by gender disparities could worsen the burden of women's ill health and limit their ability to stay healthy. These include long hours spent on domestic work, unsafe work environments, and gender-based violence with mechanisms for prevention and protection often inadequate. Pregnancy and childbirth pose particular risk. Our women die needlessly in a bid to keep our generation alive. Every day, 830 women die from preventable causes related to pregnancy and childbirth around the world. Globally, that amounted to about 303,000 women in 2015. These deaths are largely avoidable by cheap and straightforward strategies. We must work with governments to improve health services for women and girls, including survivors of violence, and backing non-governmental partners in filling critical gaps. We strive to end practices that put women and girls in danger, such as child marriage, and support efforts to end discriminatory laws, rules impeding women's access to sexual and reproductive health care services. We must speak out against the evil of all types that keep our women and girls down. The time to do so is now. Thank you, and God bless.
That applause for the chairman is still under construction. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Our own Professor Isaac Folonshaw Adewale. I was looking at my uncle, but because of these face masks, this lagbaja we're all putting on, I couldn't quite confirm that he was the one, but now it has been confirmed. The husband of the incoming national president, the president-elect, Professor Dipo Otoloni, is here. Please put your hands together for him. See, that's what this face mask is causing. Reminds me of a young man who said, was asking me, do you know the reason why doctors wear face mask or surgical mask in the theater? And I said, I didn't know. Then he said, it's because if anything goes wrong, the patient will not know who is responsible. It's just a joke, because I know that our doctors are not careless in the theater. May I also, formally now, even though she's already at the high table, the provost of the College of Medicine, the first female provost of the College of Medicine, Professor Olayinka Omigbodun. You are most welcome. Women are taking over. Yeah. Very soon we will have female provost, College of Medicine, female vice chancellor, University of Ibadan. Already in Oyo State, we have a female commissioner of police. And also, let me recognize especially the deputy provost of the College of Medicine, Professor Fatai Adeniyi. You're welcome, sir. We have representing the CMD of UCH, Professor Tegbayo, Dr. Taiwo Shoyinka, representing the CMD UCH. You're welcome, my dear sister. Mr. Chairman, all other protocols duly observed. Before we go to the goodwill messages, we have a 5-minute performance by a cultural group. I hope they are ready. 5 minutes, please. Are you ready? Oh, okay. Dr. Taiwo Shoyinka, please, can you kindly come upstairs, representing the CMD of UCH? Thank you. None. Please, cultural, you have to wait because we are pressed for time. We will bring you towards the end so that we can quickly get this program on head, because we are so pressed for time right now. So for brevity of time, we might not be able to accommodate you right now. Please, I apologize very profusely. But you'll come later. We'll go to the goodwill messages, and the MWAN president, the international president, is already online, Dr. Eliano Wadinobi. If you are watching us, we are ready for you. Can you put it on the screen, if you please? Can you put it on the...
I'm here and I'm ready.
Yeah, please, you're welcome. Put your hands together for our international president, Dr. Wadinobi. You're online now, and we are ready to listen to you.
The chair, esteemed ladies and gentlemen, I acknowledge and respect the protocol as established by the compare. It is with great pleasure that I bring you this goodwill message as President of the Medical Women's International Association. I felicitate with Medical Women's Association of Nigeria and all our friends and guests on this occasion of the 22nd Biennial Conference. The Medical Women's International Association is an association of female doctors founded in 1919. And MWAN is one of our vibrant national associations, representing female doctors from 6 continents and 8 regions of our 102-year-old association. Due to the COVID-19 pandemic and necessary protocols, MWAN is witnessing her first hybrid biennial conference, and I applaud the local organizing committee led by Dr. Olulola Oladapo and the host branch, Oyo State, for taking on the task of putting together the conference with great commitment and courage. The theme, leadership governance, and women's health is truly relevant at this time when there is a need for an infusion of female physicians in the areas of leadership and governance. The related sub-themes provide us with an opportunity to discuss the topics in great detail and learn from one another. MWAN has a key role to play in dispelling the wrong information that has led today to challenges such as vaccine hesitancy. We have to also join other feminist organizations to speak up about the unequal access to health and life-saving vaccines, with the hoarding of vaccines by some in the global north. Our voices need to be heard in the space of leadership and governance in this regard, as well as in others, as have been highlighted by the chair. Medical Women's Association of Nigeria is my home branch, and we owe our existence to our founder, Professor Oladaisi Odunton, who is also my personal mentor. 45 years ago, in 1976, at the 15th Congress of MWIA in Tokyo, Japan, thanks to this courageous and adventurous visionary, MWAN was registered as one of the national associations of MWIA. And it was when I was national president 15 years ago, we came to Ibadan to celebrate our 30th anniversary. I coined the words M1 Roots to signify coming back to our roots. It was also in Ibadan that we launched the first history of M1 called M1 Legacy. It is only fitting that 15 years later that I give you an assignment, the incoming executive, to publish the second edition of the M1 Legacy. I would like to extend my gratitude to one of our Board of Trustee members in Ibadan, Professor Oyolunri. Guess what? She noticed during my visit 15 years ago that the Presidential Medal was attached to a 2-strand rope, and she promptly replaced it with a 2-strand gold chain, which is still in use today. Well, I have a little secret for you. Ibadan holds a very special place in my heart, as it was my home for my senior secondary education, where I went to St. Louis Mokola for O-levels and to the International School, Ibadan, for my A-levels. So, when asked, "Omo Ibadan kini so re?" I proudly respond, "So swani." I salute Dr. Minnie Oseji, the indefatigable, outgoing M1 president, and her exco, as they have raised the bar with outstanding innovations during her tenure. They have made M1 more visible and more audible. Dr. Oseji's courage, her character, her bravery, tenacity, and dedication has come to the fore. We've all seen this in spite of her husband being in hospital. That is indeed extraordinary. And guess what? Her presence also speaks volumes about her husband, Honorable Justice Oseji himself, who is our associate member. That's what we fondly call our husbands. And we pray earnestly for speedy recovery in Jesus' name. Dr. Oseji also built on some of the initiatives which I instituted as far back as 2005. One of them being the Women's Rights to Health Information, the Worthy Campaign, and the MWAN Mentor Series. But let me say a few quick words about Dr. Adekemi Otolorin. She's dogged, and I witnessed her determination and tenacity towards attaining the president-elect position. Dr. Otolorin showed tremendous support also when MWAN had challenges in paying their capitation in 2016. She was instrumental towards my being celebrated as president after my ascendancy to the position of international president in Abia State. And she came up with a beautiful idea of celebrating me during the Near East and Africa Congress. And therefore, we pray for her success, and it is only fitting that she too should be celebrated as incoming president. Thank you also to Professor Otolorin for your supporting role as our first man and associate member. Lastly, at international level, we are planning for our 32nd International Congress in June of next year, by God's grace, in Taipei, Taiwan. I invite you all to participate. We pray that we can participate physically, but in the new world that we're in, virtual also. I look forward to listening to the profoundly inspiring Pastor Ibuku Awoshika, our Abimbola Awoliyi Memorial Lecturer today. Esteemed ladies and gentlemen, I wish us all a productive, constructive, and impactful 22nd Biennial Conference. God bless you all, and thank you for listening.
She cannot hear us. Please make the applause louder. Can you hear us? Thank you. That was wonderful. Thank God for technology. And it was very gratifying and heartwarming when she started talking about Ibadan. And you know that the chairman also talked about Ibadan being harboring the first university and the first teaching hospital in West Africa. And Dr. Wadnobi also was growing tribute to Ibadan. What you might not know, though, about the firsts of Ibadan is that it also harbors the first skyscraper in Nigeria. That's the Cocoa House. The first 5-star hotel in Nigeria, the Premier Hotel. The first spiral staircase in Nigeria. That is found at Bowers Tower on Okeare. And that's where Ibadan got its appellation, Ibadan Lomo. Oh, Molaipo. I'm sure we have had that before. In other words, if you came to Ibadan at that time and you didn't go to the Bowers Tower, and when you get to the Bowers Tower, you must circle round that spiral staircase. So when you come to Ibadan and you did not go to the Bowers Tower, Ibadan Lomo, Molaipo, you only came to Ibadan in vain. you didn't get to Bowers Tower. Of course, and this is very, very unique, Ibadan is the only city with 7 research institutes. We have IITA, we have NISA, we have NIHOT, we have CREAN, we have FREAN, we have IART, and we have NCRI. That is the uniqueness of Ibadan. And Ibadan harbors the 2nd-story building in Nigeria. And lastly, before I keep quiet, Ibadan is the only city in Nigeria that has a stretch of 1 kilometer road with 25 branches of banks. If you don't believe me, the next time you visit Iwo Road, start counting on both sides. There's no other city in Nigeria. Thank you very much. We are going to the goodwill messages. They're going to be short ones. We have had the first one from the international president. Now, we will be having 2 minutes each from the provost of the College of Medicine, and we'll be having another 2 minutes from the chairman of Oyo State NMA, Dr. AGA Fasunla. May I call first and foremost on Professor Olayinka Omigbodun, Provost, College of Medicine. Please put your hands together for her as she comes.
Thank you very much, sir. Did you hear what the chairman said, distinguished MC? Yes. He said, Provost, 2 minutes. Yes. Do you know what that means? Yes. No. Thank you very much. I'm extremely delighted to be here, and especially delighted to be speaking immediately after my senior from St. Louis Grammar School, Mokola, Ibadan. Up school. St. Louis in those days was awesome. We had 3 Irish nuns looking after us, and we were taught how to walk, how to sit, how to speak, and how to carry yourselves. So you can see that our international president has not forgotten all those things. Coincidentally, the lady sitting beside me representing the Chief Medical Director, Dr. Shoyinka, is also from St. Louis Grammar School, Mokola, Ibadan. And the current registrar of the University of Ibadan, the first and the best, is a product of St. Louis Grammar School, Mokola, Ibadan. Our distinguished chairman, because I have 2 minutes and I've already spent 1 minute, I would want to stand on the existing protocol. But just to appreciate you, sir, you're a former dean, former provost, former vice chancellor, and our very distinguished former minister of health. We are always delighted to be when you are there. Thank you so much. I must also acknowledge, of course, the international president, the rep of the board of directors, and also our current president, who's making so much sacrifice to be here, and our incoming. We really appreciate you. Thank you so much. I must say this, but the incoming president, Dr. Olukemi Otolori, was very, very supportive of me when I was running to become to the position of provost, and I must acknowledge her. And also her husband, who is the president of the Ibadan College of Medicine Alumni Association, working very closely with me in my role as provost. And of course, the deputy provost, who is extremely supportive. And ladies and gentlemen, elders, teachers, thank you so much. This brief goodwill message I would like to title what I say, even if it's very short. Mothers arise, the land weeps. Mothers arise, the land weeps. Where are the mothers in the land? Where are the mothers? Why is there so much crying and weeping and tears and banditry and chaos and confusion? Have we left our places? The theme for this year's conference is leadership and governance. But where are the mothers? Where were we when our children were being growing up, when they have developed attachments through breastfeeding, so that they could grow up and be secure adults? Who are the mothers of the kidnappers and the bandits? Who are the mothers of the politicians who are so corrupt? Who are the mothers who have raised those who lead us, who cannot organize our cities and make them habitable and comfortable? Where are the mothers in the land? We are responsible, because indeed we are the nurturers, as can even be seen from the theme of the motto of the Medical Women's Organization. We are the nurturers. Mothers, we are so important. Medical women, we are so important, particularly for mental health. I happen to be a child and adolescent psychiatrist, and I know that a lot of the problems we face are because the mothers have not been there. Many times children are torn away from their mothers in a very young age. Many women are carrying a lot of burden. Even our adolescents, many times you can see that the problems they have are very closely related to the kind of mothering they had, the nurturing. These are some of the things we need to address. It was Ban Ki-moon, the 8th Secretary General of the United Nations, who said, the countries with higher levels of gender equity have higher economic growth. Companies with more women on their boards have higher returns. Peace agreements that include women are more successful. Parliaments with more women take up a wider range of issues, including health, education, anti-discrimination, and child support. Where are we in the leadership of this nation? Mothers, even as we meet at this conference, it is the time for us to arise, for indeed our land weeps. We need to wipe the tears of this nation, rise up and take our places, and build a nation that will thrive, and indeed generations after us will be blessed. Thank you for your attention.
There's a place in your heart, and I know that it is love, and the place is much brighter than tomorrow. And if you really try, you'll find there's no need to cry.
When the international president was speaking, that applause was not as loud as that. Even the national president. But thank you very much. Perhaps what you don't know about Professor Olayinka Omibodun is that she's not just the first female provost of the College of Medicine. She's the first Nigerian female professor of psychiatry. If you give her a guitar right now, she's very, very consummately skillful on the guitar. And her husband, Professor Adeyinka, she's Olayinka, the husband is Adeyinka, you know, is also very skillful on the keyboard. And we both of them come together. Oh, it's so wonderful. I can say that because I had invited them for a program before. Very, very skillful, very, very, very. It's also an orator, by the way. Please put your hands together once again for her. We have only 2 minutes, and this is going to come from the Nigeria Medical Association, Oyo State Branch. May I invite Dr. A.G.A. Fasola to speak for 2 minutes, the goodwill message from the NMA. Oh.
Thank you very much, the MC. The chairman of today's occasion, please permit me to stand on the existing protocol which you have already established. I bring greetings from my president, Professor Innocent Huja, who is not able to attend this meeting because of obvious reasons. He's actually out there trying to settle some of the problems that is in the health sector that we are all aware of. That's why he's not here. The Nigeria Medical Association, Oyo State Branch, felicitates with the Medical Women's Association of Nigeria on her 22nd Biennial Conference and General Assembly taking place in Ibadan. I specifically congratulate the 2019-2021 National President, Dr. Menini Oseji, for a successful completion of her tenure, and also all that you have done, ma, is on record. We appreciate you for that, and NMA appreciate you for that, ma. And I also want to felicitate with my home mommy, in person of Dr. Lillian Adekemi Otolori, who is the incoming 2021-2023 23rd National President. As mentioned yesterday that she's going to be the 23rd President of MWAN Nigeria. Please, let's put our hands together for her to celebrate her. I recognize all the state presidents here and all the delegates here. You are all welcome. This conference is coming at a perilous time in the history of our dear great nation, when the dignity and nobility of the medical profession in Nigeria is being threatened. A time of avoidable, incessant industrial action in the health sector due to the insensitivity of the government and their failure to honor agreements. There are other reasons why many doctors in Nigeria and health workers by extension are leaving the country. We are all aware of some of them, but let me just mention a few of them. There is remarkably low budgetary allocation to health, dwindling health resources, recently compounded by COVID-19 pandemic, insecurity of life and properties, continuing massive emigration of highly skilled, trained medical manpower to greener pasture. All these are coming because of lack of proper mentorship, bad leadership, and poor governance. The medical profession in Nigeria has become an endangered species, and we have a duty to rescue and salvage it from our enemies, which are many. Obviously, MWAN has a key role to play in all of this. I am of the opinion that it is in recognition of these daunting challenges and desperate need to avoid a total collapse of health sector with its attendant consequences, especially on women's health, that MWAN chose leadership, governance, and women's health are the theme of this year's conference. It is hoped that discussions at this conference will culminate in a communique and suggestions that will improve the choice of appropriate leaders for good governance in health sector for better health service delivery. NMA Oyo is glad and indeed grateful for honoring our affiliate with the National Secretariat and leadership of MWAN for the tenure 2021 to 2023. I congratulate and wish all delegates a blissful and rewarding stay in the ancient city of Ibadan. You have heard a lot about Ibadan, good things that your eyes must behold before you leave. We have a lot of good culture, especially our clothing, our food, that you have to be part of it and enjoy it before you leave. But in all of this, please remember to stay and keep safe and adhere to all COVID-19 precautions. Welcome to the Peseta State. God bless you.
Thank you very much, Professor Fatula, representing the NMA. Is anybody here representing the Honorable Minister of Health? I just want to find out so that we don't miss it out. Okay. How about His Excellency the Governor of Oyo State, Engineer Seyi Makinde? Anybody representing the government of Oyo State? Okay, so we can conveniently then. Okay. I want to find out if Mrs. Bolanle Olowu is connected online. Wale? Mrs. Bolanle Olowu, is she connected to us here online? Oh, okay. Is she? Director, Ministry of Health, Abuja. Mrs. Bolanle Olowu is the Director, Ministry of Health, Abuja. Okay, she's not connected. She's not. So, I'm going to ask us, she's not there. Good. I'm going to ask us right now to fasten our seat belts because we are going on now to the lecture. And this is very important. I have been under the sound of her voice at various fora, and when she talks, she's a delight. Her name rings bells very loud globally, louder in Nigeria, loudest in the Southwest, and if there's any word like that, loudest in Lagos. Ibukwan Woshika is an entrepreneur, a business executive, as well as an ordained pastor. She is a graduate of chemistry from the University of Ife, now Obafemi Awolowo University. Because of time, I'm going to paraphrase the rest of her citation, but I refer you to page 105 of the program. Okay. I should read everything. Thank you. So I'm referring you to page 105, but let me just say one or two things about her, and then we will hand over the microphone to her. I'm asking you to fasten your seatbelts. We need rapt attention to be able to be blessed by this paper that she's going to present. Ibukwan Woshika is a co-founder and past chairperson of Women in Business, Management and Public Service. She's a founder of the Christian Missionary Fund, a faith-based organization that works with hundreds of missionaries spread across Nigeria to change lives with the provision of medical, educational, and other supplies. She's a multiple award-winning entrepreneur and the first Nigerian recipient of the prestigious International Women Entrepreneurial Challenge Award as a nominee of the U.S. Department of State in 2008. She is the first female and immediate past chairman of the First Bank, and has spoken of numerous world conferences and platforms where she shares her knowledge on several economic and faith-based topics. She's married, happily married, to Abiodun Awushika, and they are blessed with 3 wonderful sons. It's indeed a privilege to have her here to deliver this lecture. So, ladies and gentlemen, can you accord Pastor Mrs. Ibukwan Awushika and prepare for her lecture?
I was built to be the best. Stand up for the champions, for the champions. Stand up, stand up, stand up for the champions, for the champions. Stand up for the champions, for the champions. Stand up, stand up.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. It's definitely my pleasure to be here. I thank and acknowledge the chairman of the occasion, a great former Minister of Health and Vice Chancellor of the University of Ibadan. I do not want to start a university competition war with all the UI. I'm an Ibadan girl, so I can identify with the fight for UI. However, we know that there's some universities that are great, and there's no dispute about the great universities. So, Ife is not just great by name, it's great as an institution. But I will stop it there so that there will be no war. It would not be like the jollof rice between the Ghanaians and the Nigerians. You know, the fruit of Ife graduates or professionals, they're all over the world and there for everybody to see. Don't worry, there's no competition with Ibadan. Remember, I'm still an Ibadan girl, so I identify with all the firsts of Ibadan. I would like to thank the national president and the incoming president, and all protocols duly observed, as I still have to take on the express road to get back to Lagos. To be honest, as I've sat through since morning when I arrived till now, you know, I've had my heart running back and forth about so many things and thoughts. Because as I checked a few data, I kept wondering, you know, why do we do this to ourselves consistently? Because I've listened to a lot of dynamic, driven, brilliant minds that are women in the medical field today, coming from different angles in their fields of practice and sharing their knowledge. And it shows the level of impact and contribution that the women continue to make in the medical field. I also know that in the statistics shows us that the population of Nigeria is relatively 50-50 between the men and the women. It's 49.2 for women and like 50 point something for the men. which statistically is like a 50-50 situation. And then I went to search for the history of all the ministers of health, Chairman, your colleagues over the years since independence. And it was so embarrassing to imagine that in a nation that has 50% of its population as women, and may I make a case that it's not just about having 50% of the population as women, it's about the fact that in every household, like the president, the current president, is eager to leave in order to go and look after her husband and support the medical people looking after him. Because in every household, there's a woman who is a mother, and she's not the carer of her daughters or the women in her household or in her neighborhood. She's a carer of the family and the nation, because in every home, at least in most homes and in the nation, there are women, there are men, there are children, and the woman does not, what's the word? Went blank on it. She doesn't discriminate in terms of who she's looking after. She's a provider of care and service to all gender, in her view. And yet, I looked at, and I thought there was a mistake. I had to call my assistant back and say, look, are you sure you checked that it's not that they forgot to put Mrs., or that some are not Mrs., but they are women, that some of the names actually belong to women? He said, no, ma, there's only been one minister of health in the history of Nigeria that is a woman. I mean, it's almost upsetting to the point that you are embarrassed for your nation and you are ashamed, and you just think that, I mean, I'm sorry, but I do apologize, and I never beat men up. Why? I'm married to a man and I only have sons. So I'm on the side of the men. So this is not a gender matter. This is about a matter of equity and doing what is even in the interest of your nation. Because statistically, globally, any organization that has great diversity in its leadership, that involves men and women and allows them to come from the different perspectives and combine their knowledge, profits better and performs better. And in the midst of this pandemic, records have shown that the nations that outperformed every other nation were nations that were led by women across the world. It's not because the men cannot be as smart or are not as smart as those women leaders. It's because there's a component of a woman that is compassionate, that is empathetic, that is used to caring, that is a builder of nurturing. And in a sector that requires all of those factors added to the technical knowledge, which the women are at par with the men in terms of competitiveness, there's absolutely no way to begin to understand that a nation can do itself such great disservice by choosing that we will only continue to look at our nation and our healthcare system with one eye and keep the other eye permanently closed. And we choose not to benefit from the perspective that that eye, which is the stronger eye for care, can bring to the table. I didn't come here to cause any war between men and women. Remember, I'm married to a great man and I have 3 sons. And I'm all about us being able to deliver the best service in the interest of our nation. But it's just, as a business person, it's almost unimaginable that I will deliberately put myself at a disadvantage. And that seems to be what we've done. But now, we've talked about the nation, but let's come back to a very intelligent group of people. Because when I think about the number of years it takes to get a medical degree, and the effort and the talent that needs to go in to you becoming, great medical professionals and professors at different levels, and all of that, and we all have to trust our lives into the hands of these smart doctors. Then I went to look at the Nigerian Medical Association. And I'm even more embarrassed because then I'm out of the scope of the general Nigerian situation. And I've come into a microcosm, a smaller group that is more alike, that I can recognize their ability to think through things and make the right kind of judgments. And I looked through from 1960 or whenever to now, all the presidents that the Nigerian Medical Association has ever had. And it's exactly the same situation as the nation in terms of its ministers of health. There's only been one woman 36 years ago that has been the president of the Nigerian Medical Association. And I'm sitting down trying to be calm because it just doesn't make sense to me. It just doesn't make sense to me. But however, the way I am trained is not about what other people do. It's about what I do to solve the problem that I have. And so I've come today to challenge you. You've heard enough of all the medical things. That's why I sat quietly. I have no slides because I knew you would have been killed and numbed out in your brain with slides from all your medical presentation. And considering I'm not a medical person, in fact, my sons asked me last night, "You're going to Ibadan tomorrow?" I said, "Yes." "What are you going to do?" "I'm going to speak at the Women's Medical Association and all of that." And they said, "But why? You're not a medical person, so why do they want you to come and speak there?" I said, "Well, it's from a different perspective." And they just couldn't figure out why. So the reality is this. So I bring you the layman's perspective to just challenge you to think differently about the situation you found yourself in, to think differently about the fact that you have a responsibility to challenge the status quo, because it's not just about you, it's about the value that you can give to a nation, because you have capacity, you have natural innate gift, and you also need to organize yourself and equip yourself to have the capacity to occupy positions of leadership in order to make the change that you seek. You know, when that last panel on the NGOs and all of that in the healthcare sector, I remember that the professor that was the chair of the session said at the end of the day, "Oh, you need to do this, you need to do this, you need to do this better, you need to do that." You know, technical competence is one thing, but when it comes to leadership and governance, you need to be a lot more deliberate. The entire curriculum for medical training in Nigeria needs to be revisited in a way that you are not only producing doctors, but you're producing doctors that will be efficient managers and doctors that can sit in leadership at any level, addressing many factors even beyond medical. Now, what is the biggest proof of that for me? I have seen the most brilliant minds in medicine set up private hospitals and fail. The statistics are staggering in terms of the number of failed hospitals set up by doctors that are known to be exceptional in their particular field. What does that tell you? You teach a mechanic how to fix the car, but you didn't teach him how to run his workshop. He's never going to succeed. His skills and his talent will be there, but it's not enough for him to sustain his ability to build a business, continuously improve his skills, and leave a legacy that will be passed to his children. And the challenge right now is that because we're not building that leadership skill as part of our curriculum, and we're not building the management training into our medical curriculum, we are killing the resources. We're not maximizing the capacity of those resources to deploy value for the nation. We've had many ministers of health, and with all due respect, we have one very able one sitting at the table. The question we need to ask ourselves is, why are we still in the state that we're in? And I know that you ended this with leadership, governance, and women's health. But I find it difficult to talk to you about just women's health. Why? Why are you putting yourself in a box? Are you doctors that attend to women alone in your clinics? Or do you treat men and women, anybody that comes into you? So why are we even talking about women's health? We're talking about health for a nation. Because when you want to be the minister of health that makes a change in a nation, there's no minister for women's health. There's only a minister of health. And the minister of health is concerned with the health of all citizens, men and women, adults and children. And the way you position yourself affects how people view you. If you position yourself in a narrow box, then you are narrowed into that area. And where they're looking for talents amongst the women, It's only when they have issues that are related to women's health that they will look for you guys. And when they're talking about national health issues, they would think they need the men, not because the women are incompetent, but simply because they have not been positioned to show their talents and their skills. And may I say that the system of education in itself has not prepared most health professionals to be successful in position of leadership outside of their core area of technical skills. And it shows in the results that we have. It also shows in our approach. Now, what do we need to do? We need to go back. We need to go back into the curriculum and rebuild so that we start building a whole new generation of medical professionals who are also prepared to be leaders across multiple fields. We must also be realistic people who understand that if you want real change, it's the guys who sit in power and position who control it. It doesn't matter how much you know. It doesn't matter what ideas or opinion you have. You can go to a meeting and give the best opinion. The guy who has the final say will decide if it happens or not. And so when you have sat for over 60 years and you've watched that your ideas have not produced the kind of results that you have sought after, that effectively by systematically you as women have been kept out of the seat. Because what is wrong in a governance policy for the NMA that says that, sorry, can you guys help us here?
That is to say, completing the building.
Guys, we will take out of your money.
Because it means that if you follow this.
Are we good? Thank you. And you know, every woman in this house, and you know the thing I found interesting, a lot of the female doctors are also married to men in the medical field. For whatever reason, there seems to be quite a few. Am I right or wrong? So where is your power of influence? Because even if the men outnumber you in the medical association, when you go for the elections, there are men who are on your side as well because you sleep on the same bed with them. Yes, and a woman has the power of influence, but you must earn it. It is not just taken, you must earn it. Which means that as you prove yourself capable and competent in terms of your areas and show the leadership skills that are required for real change, and as you make yourself relevant in terms of thought leadership and in the change that is required in order to change healthcare system in our country, then there must be a point where we get to that between your technical skills, your power of influence, and how you organize yourself strategically in order to be able to deliver the results, that we will turn around the very morbid situation that we have, where in the history of a whole nation that has 50% men and 50% women, and that has many women who are medical practitioners, and like I've been advised or informed as I sought some information from the incoming and the outgoing, that in many medical schools, sometimes the girls outnumber the boys. And which means at the end of the day, if they do come through the process and they are practicing doctors, you don't have to have a plan that comes to life today. If you look at your realistic scenario now, you can decide that this is 2021. By 2030, if not before, how many presidencies would have taken place between now and then? How do we strategically ensure that by 2030 or 2028 or 2026, the next president of the Nigeria Medical Association will be a qualified, competent woman who has the capacity to deliver the change? But that comes when we ourselves are strategically minded and we're focused on long-term issues, and we forsake the things that people wrongfully say are the things that undermine women when they are gathered together. I'm a co-founder and a member of the board of trustees of WIMBIS, Women in Management, Business and Political System. 20 years ago, when we were starting WIMBIS, we were largely all in our 30s, a few were in their 40s. But we were all smart girls that were going somewhere. And everybody assumed that you cannot have 12 women and 1 man who are ambitious, driven, smart, going somewhere that can work together to build an association successfully. They were sure that we were going to fall apart somewhere along the line. But that only became our inspiration. It became the force that drove us to debunk the myth that stated that women cannot work together efficiently in order to deliver value. We knew that it was in the interest of not just ourselves, but the generation of Nigerian women who aspire into leadership, for us to work, for us to face our truth, face our limitations, do a gaps analysis of where we are, where we want to go, and what is missing, and to seek the knowledge that we needed in order to prepare all of us. And the knowledge was sought everywhere and anywhere. Whether it was men that had it, we didn't care if we had a panel of all men. As long as what we were seeking was available with them, we would take it. I remember we used to have a CEO forum, and we would gather CEOs of companies which were largely all men and say, tell us why you have no women on your board. Tell us what you're looking for that you cannot find. Tell us what is missing. And we gleaned all the knowledge and we put action plans behind everything that we found was a challenge. And we created a long-term plan that has resulted in, as you see women in the corporate world emerge in different places now, it didn't happen overnight. We've been driving that ship for the last 20 years and we were dedicated and diligent about it. And one of the things we were determined was never going to happen was that we were never going to turn against each other in a way that our goal would be destroyed. And that we maintained. And 10 years after we started, all the founders decided that we were off running the organization. And we moved into the board of trustees. And we went to a next generation. And we started a new generation of leaders. So that they took over. They brought in their own fresh ideas. We were all still very much in our late 40s, going into early 50s. But we had done our bit. We had established the foundation. And we brought in people that were at the same age as when we started. Osayi Alile, if I remember, was the first of the non-founding chair. And right after her came Aisha Ahmed, who is Deputy Governor of Central Bank now. And we've moved them. We set up a whole next generation. And they know that they're going to get to a place where they are going to allow the next generation to go as well. And within the next 1 year or so, we're actually even exiting the board of trustees, all of us, the founders. And we're leaving, we've done our work. We've set the foundation for the work to be done. It has become an institution that is globally recognized and supported by global organizations that help to fund our activities. And the women are thinking, and we have continued to challenge ourselves and to teach ourselves what we need to know in order to be competitive so that we can effectively be a value addition to nation building and corporate organizations in our country. So what is my challenge to you? Remember why you came together. Whatever your original motto or vision was, revisit it, revamp it for now and the future. Your motto is not permanent, it's a living being. You must always ensure that you're current for the time and the challenges of the season. You must evaluate the values that you have gathered, where you have come to. What do you need to do next? How do you move the organization to the next level? How do you make the organization relevant to the nation? Because it's not just about having an organization, it's about effectively using your talents and your skills to help the health services delivery in a nation that has millions of people crying for help. And in doing that, sometimes you are going to make self-sacrifice. And in doing that, it's not about the individual you, it's about the national agenda of the organization. And don't allow the politics. I see all the campaign materials. That's necessary. You're going to choose leadership one way or the other. But just remember, in doing that, it's not about your tribe or your tongue. It's not about what I can give or what I can't give. It's about what talent and ability I bring to the table. It's about how am I able to help the vision and drive it. I'm not playing south, south, southwest, southeast, north, south. What's that got to do? You are professionals from the same mindset. You should be a microcosm of the nation that we want to build. You've been separated by your education, your skills, and your exposure. And the way you think should be an example of the kind of nation that we want to build. And when you do that, you can then collectively, without any division or working against one another, go to your National Medical Association and fight for equity. You can go and say, after every 2 male presidents, there must be 1 female president. There is nothing that says that is wrong. Nations across the whole world are campaigning for quota systems in order to get equity on board. And there's nothing that, if you do that, there will always be a qualified woman for the portion that is women. And when you have sort of increased the equity ratio, you would find it's easier to just have an open competition, because then you have more, the women have proven themselves. There are men that will vote for the women because they have seen the performance of other women. There are people in your association that in their lifetime, they have never seen a woman in the leadership of Nigerian Medical Association. So when you tell them to vote for one, they can't assess what they have not seen. And therefore, they settle to what they are used to. And what they're used to is their colleague, their friend, their network, their alliance, and they go back to it, and you guys will lose every time that goes on. But women are the ones in the world that have the highest power of influence, because we're wired that way. But it must be influence for good and influence to achieve a goal. And when you're fighting for the healthcare, it's the healthcare of a nation. And no matter how much work you're doing in silos, in your small NGOs or organizations that you're doing in your small silos, I remember what the professor said that caught my attention when he said, we have to collaborate and network more. Because when you work in silos, and women in particular are so used to working in silos. Women have power, but women's power exists in silos. Men have power that is highly interconnected, and therefore, their superpower of connectivity will always, in many cases, beat the unconnected power of women. And what you guys must learn to do is to create that network of relationships and power that gives you the superpower to achieve the change that you seek for good, and not change for change. Change that you seek for good. Because ultimately, you didn't go to medical school for so many years. You know the funny thing, as a student in secondary school, who was science good? My first ambition was to be a doctor. But the thing that killed it was when I found out that it's real dead bodies they use in medical school. So I will always hail you when I think I just could not imagine myself doing that. And that was it. I changed my mind very quickly, you know, and ended up studying chemistry. And obviously, God was ordering my steps, because what would I have done? You know, medicine it draws you to want to care for the people once you have studied it. And Nigerians think once you're a doctor, you are mad if you do anything else. But you know what? It's just another qualification. That is the truth. What is most important is what is the best thing that you can do that suits who you are and where you're better able to bless humanity. And that's where you should find yourself. So even if I'd studied medicine, it would still have been a mistake for the person that I am, because ultimately my life has proven that I'm more of a social science person than a science person, and I can apply myself across multiple fields, and that's been the story of my life. Leadership. You're trained for it. Some say some are born leaders. You can have an innate ability to want to lead, but if you lead with lack of knowledge, you will destroy more things than build them. And therefore, you must have a system that nurtures and that builds leaders for the long term, but leaders with the right vision. You know, there's nothing wrong where in medical schools as are today, you have hours of power or something. For every class of a medical class, from their first year to their last year, you have health professionals who have been in government, who have seen what public health policy can be like, who have been in power, who knows the downfalls and the upsides of them, who come to speak to medical students once every quarter, every season, building their mindsets for how leadership, and bringing other non-medical people to build their mind differently so that their vision is colored not just by their medical training, but by what they can use that medical training to do beyond being in the theater or being in the consultation room, and being effective leaders who can influence, and combining your power together to agitate for the right change without destruction, so that we can have a better healthcare system for our nation. The reality right now is even the wealthy will cry sometimes, because despite those who have resources, if the facility is not available, you can't have what you need, let alone talk about those that have nothing. And the system cannot sustain what they need. You know, you look at people die because they can't find Panadol close enough, or they can't even afford it. A mother loses a child because she can't treat the child for malaria. How much does it cost to treat malaria? We have a malignancy in terms of our whole experience where our medical field is concerned. And I know that many of you try, and it challenges your oath that you take as a doctor when you look at the reality that is on ground, in terms of between saving lives and facing the reality that is on ground. And you know one more thing why I think women are critical to this? The first ones who are drawn to go abroad with the skill are the men. Why? Because naturally, men are more drawn by money than women are. Right or wrong? That is the truth. And the women will tend to stay for multiple reasons, either from a heart of compassion or because of a husband who is not drawn to go anywhere. They might desire it, but they will stay where their husband stays. And ultimately, we might end up, I hope we're not left with just the female doctors at the rate that people are leaving the shores of the land. I don't know what the patterns are in the hospitals in terms of people that are leaving, but it shows that we need to have a different approach to leadership. We need to redefine the governance rules of engagement that guides our organizations and that guides our administration of healthcare, but that allows the health professionals to be constructively engaged in the decision-making policy, and for us to retrain ourselves to be politically active without being agitators. Because one thing I have learned, in a system like ours, when you agitate, nobody hears what you say. Because the moment you open your mouth, they're expecting trouble, so their ears are blocked. That is the truth. You must understand how the system that you want to engage with, how it works. You don't go to war except you know that you can win. Sometimes you will deliberately lose so that you can wait until the moment that you can win. So there's a need to rethink the entire approach and be strategic about the results that we seek. And that requires leadership. There's no reason why most of doctors that get to high level have not gone to business school to get an MBA. Because if you're going to be an administrator and a manager of resources, you need more than your technical skills. And that education is key. Influence and impartation is key, which is why it's good to have someone like Professor Adewale here, but you need him and many people across different areas and other fields speaking to the medical professionals so that you can think differently and think out of the box. There's a whole new generation coming, and they will change the way this game is played. You know, the gentleman that made the presentation talking about all the digital healthcare entrepreneurs is showing you what is coming. I engage with some. I work with some as mentees and all of that. And I'm telling you, they have no respect for some of the things you guys are holding on to. They will redefine the game in a different way. And if the population follows them, governance will have to follow at some point. There would be a place of conflict over time, but there will be a point where they cannot be ignored. So it's also your responsibility not to become irrelevant in any way if you are not thinking along the emergence within the industry. So you need to think about the emergence of the industry. You need to think about the regulation and the administration of it. You need to think about the governance rules that will allow you to succeed with what you want to achieve as an organization, but you need to think more globally. And globally is not just about being a member of the international association. I'm talking about globally in terms of healthcare delivery for our nation, and how you as women who are involved in this space can be strategically involved in the policy decisions and the actions that lead to the service and the deployment of resources that will make the change. You cannot change what you've never experienced. You know, the chairman gave the precursor to my presentation, because everything he said in his paper, laying out all the data and the statistics, I don't like to repeat things, is why I'm not going to bother, because he had already laid that foundation, which shows a lot of the problems that the girl child and women are going through. If the decision maker is always from the view of a man, he cannot relate. How can a man explain your period pain when he's never had periods? How can a man understand the brain-numbing pain of labor? He can imagine, but he cannot explain. He cannot understand because he has never been in that situation. There are multiple areas that cannot be dealt with by a man, even with the best of intentions, which is why ultimately we need a collaborative, collective front. But the women must equip and show up. You must equip, you must organize, and you must show up. It's not always that power is given to you. There are times you need to take the power. And for you to take it, you must organize yourself. And you will do that strategically and sacrificially. You will forget whatever divides you. You will come together and bind yourself with what holds you together. And some of you will not benefit from the fight you will fight, but the ones that will come after you will. And that will be good enough. Because you have to play the long game. It cannot be. Leadership does not look with the short-term view. Leadership looks for the long term. You plan for the future, but you set the seed and the foundation for it now. And that's why I challenge you that the system of education itself, you need to think through it. Some of you are sat as deans in departments, or you're head of different areas. Start pushing for the right change. Ask for the curriculum to be reconsidered to produce the leaders of the medical field that you want tomorrow. And even if the system isn't preparing you, self-invest, prepare yourself. Make your own plans, decide where you want to be in the next 20 years, in the next 10 years, and do your gaps analysis, determine what is missing from where you are, what you know, and what you need to know in order to be where you want to sit tomorrow. And invest in yourself to prepare yourself to be able to compete effectively and efficiently for where you want to go. Life has to be more deliberate and intentional than accidental. You cannot expect the change that you want and hope it will come, that it will accidentally happen. Maybe accidentally after 40 years we'll have one other woman in either position, and after another 40 years they will accidentally have one. That's not how it works. Once you leave it, you know, when someone holds power, they never give it to you. You have to fight strategically to share it. And what the women are asking for the men, please, this is not war. It cannot be, because we all go back home to a man at night. This is saying that there are two sides to a coin, and one side cannot carry the weight of the two sides. and that you need the two working together efficiently in order to be able to achieve the results that you seek. Otherwise, we have seen the results of a one-sided health governance in the country. This is the truth. Facts you cannot argue with. And the facts and the results shows that simply having men for the last 60 plus years has not produced for us the results that we seek. And sometimes, you know, like very smart people will tell you, doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result is the act of a foolish man. That is the truth. Sorry, foolish woman too. So the men don't think I'm at war with them. This isn't it. My assignment here is to the women, and I'm only stating the facts as I know it. Leadership is cultivated. It's taught. It's prepared hands, is experience gained, is knowledge gained, and is target set. If you don't seek after it, you cannot get it. And may I finish by actually just using Professor Otolorin as a closing example. And I do that with all respect, sir. I do that because I want the men to understand that when you allow the women to use their talents, we all benefit. We gain. Nobody loses. And that's why you're such a good example. Like I know my husband is today sitting here. I've been here since about 10 o'clock, and I met you here. And you've been sitting here all along till this moment. Those are the men I call gems amongst men. The ones who have the courage, the conviction, and the confidence to support their wives to be the best of themselves, and there's no competition. The one who is bold enough to say, sitting here is making a statement, saying, I support my wife in seeking to become this leader of this organization. That's a real man. And those are the kind of men that we need to raise and to build. Those are the men that we need to raise our sons to be. The ones who are not threatened by their women folk, who understand that they bring value to the table and you bring value to the table. And when we let that value work together and the women also do their homework, then we have a better nation. I thank you, sir, as I thank all the men in the House and the chairman, because his speech showed that he's a real he for she that supports women in leadership. And you know, I know that, sir, because you've always encouraged me, remember? He would see me at NESG or any of the conferences or something, and he would say, Mr. Wishika, are you writing all this, your speeches? Are you writing all these challenges? I want you to document them. You know, always. He never forgot to tell me that. I appreciate you today, sir, and I celebrate you. Because if you're a father of a girl, then you shouldn't be threatened by a wife. Because whatever you do with your wife is what you hope is what is likely to be done to your daughter. Because you sow a seed, you will reap it. So, thank you for the men who have wisdom and have understanding. And to my sisters in the House and our mothers, you have a lot of work to do, I must say. But you didn't come this far by not being able to work. I'm certain you can pull this off. Prepare yourself for the leadership that you seek. Fight for the right governance that gives you the opportunity to compete and to participate. And as you seek for solutions to women's health, remember, the skills you need to lead overall is beyond the health of women. You must have understanding about women's health, you must fight for it, but fight for the health of your husbands and your sons, and for the men and the women of the nation. Thank you very much. God bless.
Can we be seated if we can? Thought-provoking. Each time I have the privilege to sit under the sound of her voice, I am always blessed. An orator par excellence. And you will observe, I always tell journalists who ask for speeches, I said, not with Mrs. Ibukwa Wishika. So you better be attentive, because you will never get, because she speaks completely extempore. And that she has done. An exemplar of humility and candor and long-suffering. You know, a woman of integrity of time in particular. She got here at 10 o'clock this morning and had to wait for at least 2 hours before it came to her turn to deliver her lecture. And you can see, just sit down there, no complaint, and that is a woman to follow. I say that to all the men. This is a woman to follow. Even the men, she's a woman to follow. Please put your hands together once again for our guest lecturer. The chairman of your State Hospitals Management Board, I'm told he's here, by Dr. Bola Adetunji. By proxy, he's here being represented by Dr. Adeyanju Olusoji, the Permanent Secretary, Hospitals Management Board of your State. Where are you, sir? Let's give him a hand. You are most welcome, sir. And also, Director of Medical Services of your State Ministry of Health, Dr. Adesonya Olufemi. Where are you, sir? Please, let's give him a hand. We are gradually coming to the end of this opening ceremony, but it has to be formally declared open. And that's exactly where we are going next. So, I have the honor once again to invite the chairman of the occasion to formally declare the conference open. Mr. Chairman, thank you for putting your hands together once again.
Thank you so much, Yoju Adegbite. The guest lecturer, I'm certainly not disappointed. I've listened to you several times. Thank you for motivating us. I actually set the tone in my address, but thank you for expanding on it and hitting the nail on the head. The women actually are their worst enemies. They are out of office because they would rather vote for men than vote for women. The day they strategically, you mentioned the word strategy, cultivation, planning, and networking, it will happen. No man can get there without women's support. So thank you for hitting the nail on the head. We are waiting for the next president of the NMA to come from among you women. We will work for that lady because we know what they are capable of doing. So over to you, ladies, and it will happen. Dr. Adikemi Otolorin, the last female president came from Oyo State. Is the next one also coming from Oyo State? Well, someone said Lagos. Dr. Chiva Biola Oshodi came from Oyo State. And she provided solid, impeccable, insightful, and progressive leadership. So we are waiting for the next one. With that few comments, it is my honor and privilege to formally declare this conference open to the glory of God and for the improvement of healthcare in Nigeria and beyond, not just women's health, healthcare, as stated by the guest speaker. Congratulations. I wish you all the best.
Thank you very much, sir. How else do you appreciate a guest lecturer for that very powerful paper she presents, but to specially honor her? And that's the reason why she's going to be decorated now as I hand over the microphone to the person who will do it. The president-elect is going to do that.
The chairman, sir, all protocols duly observed. In line with the tradition of MWAN, and on behalf of my national president, we want to recognize the keynote speaker and the chairman. They have given us what we have stated to be like 200,000 naira. They have given us millions, ideas, wisdom, knowledge, the ways to be impactful, the ways to move all of us forward. the way to care better for the less privileged Nigerians, and the way to move this nation to a greater level. Thank you very much, sir and ma. Take us as we are, and together we will do it well.
To be the best, number one and nothing less. Leave me to my destiny.
I will now call on my national president to do that of the ministers. Thank you very much.
The Honorable Professor Adewale, Minister, Honorable Minister for Health, you will see that there is a bit of discussion going on. I am under authority. I have the representative of the Board of Trustees of MWAN here. I also have several members of the Advisory Council of past presidents. So I'm very careful at what I do, because I've been in this business receiving knocks as well as applauses from all of them, and so I don't do things anyhow. And that is why I have used my powers as the outgoing national president to declare that we are going to decorate our chairman, not just because he's here today, but for all that he has done for women, as the 15th MWAN champion of the 2019 to 2021 biennial.
Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, permit me to tell you more about Professor Adewale. It's not because he's chairman today. He's a man treating women, children, and men. He has always partnered with medical women. When he was VC, he celebrated with us the medical icons, that is, the founder and the first set of the older medical women. He did an advert, a whole page in the foremost newspaper. He gave us the conference hall free, and he was there to support. Again, there is IFA Foundation treating cancer in women. He's always partnering with us at all our outreaches. We say a big thank you, sir, Prof, for everything. Thank you for being yourself, and thank you for being the professional man that supports women. Thank you. It's Maestro on the beat, baby.
Let me announce up front that immediately after the closing prayer, we will have a group photograph. I think we will do that on the floor there. And then the tour of the exhibition booths, which will dovetail into the lunch break and then we all come back here again for the continuation of the program for today. A woman called the family doctor, who is also a woman, to frantically report that her husband was unwell and his temperature was 100 degrees centigrade. The doctor on the other side exclaimed, "Madam, if your husband's temperature is 100 degrees centigrade, I'm afraid it's too late to call me. You better call the fire brigade." It's on that note that I will invite Dr. Mr. Adeshina, please, to do the vote of thanks on behalf of the LOC chair. Dr. Mrs. Adeshina. Is she coming? As she comes, permit me to acknowledge the presence of the National President and Chairperson, Brekan, Oyo State, MS Tolu Taiwo. Where are you, ma'am? Miss Tolu Taiwo. You are most welcome. Dr. Mrs. Adeshina. Okay.
I wanna dance, so watch me weep and watch me I like your style, I like everything where you wear. We always smiling, cause the grace of God is always
Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I, standing on all protocols previously established, on behalf of MWAN, I wish to especially appreciate Pastor Mrs. Ibukun Awoshika for her lecture, which we all agree was quite challenging. We have come out of it feeling charged and was quite inspirational. I also appreciate the chairman of this occasion, Professor Isaac Folorunsho Adewale. Special appreciations to the International President of MWAN, Dr. Elinor Iwadinobi, and the MWAN National President, Dr. Oseji. Special appreciations to all members of the Board of Trustees and NEC who are here, and all our invited guests, the Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Health, the Provost, my Provost, College of Medicine, the Chief Medical Director, who is ably represented by Dr. Shoyinka, and special appreciations to all distinguished MWAN members, the President, Secretaries, who have made the journey here to this biennial celebration. Last, but definitely not the least, special appreciations to all members of Oyo State MWAN, here represented by my President, and all members of MWAN and the LOC. Thank you very much for making this a special occasion for us. Have a wonderful day.
Like I announced earlier, we're going to have the closing prayer. And after that, I will expect our guests on the high table to step down for the group photograph. May I invite Dr. Adeyemi, please, to give the closing prayer. Dr. Adeyemi. Sallu ala Nabi Karim.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, people of the high table. We thank God Almighty for making this day a great one. We thank Him for giving us the good health to have traveled this long journey and to be seated here this afternoon to have this meeting. It's halfway through. We thank Him for giving us all these people that have graced the occasion for us. And I know that this afternoon that we've had so much education and thoughts. We thank Him for all that He has given us. This conference is halfway through. We still have many more things to do, most especially the voting, the investiture, the departure of all our guests. The Lord guided them here. We're going to implore Him to guide them back to their destinations in peace. We thank Him for all that He has done for us, because we know that He is able to do all things for us. Please, the Muslims that are here will join me in saying the first chapter of the Quran, the Fatiha. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Ar-Rahmanir Rahim. Maliki Yawmiddin. Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. Ihdina siratal mustaqim. Siratal ladhina an'amta alayhim. Ghayril maghdubi alayhim waladhdallin. Amen. That's in Arabic language. I'm sure you want to know what I've just said in English. Simply saying, in the name of God, the beneficent, the merciful, all praise is due to Allah, the Lord of the worlds, the beneficent, the merciful, master of the day of judgment. Thee do we serve, and thee do we beseech for help. Keep us on the right path, the path of those upon whom you have bestowed favor, not of those who have evoked your anger, or of those who go astray. Amen.
Thank you very much. Before we go, let me quickly acknowledge the presence of the Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Women Affairs and Social Inclusion, who is here representing the Minister of Women Affairs, Dr. Pauline Tallinn, as well as the Head of Service of your state, Mrs. Christiana Abosede Abioye. Where are you, ma? Oh, you are most welcome. Thank you very much. I'm told that we have just one more item before we end it all for this session. The plaques, there are special plaques to be presented to some special guests, and I'm going to hand over to the national president to do that.
You've given me an opportunity to do two things at the same time. So just hold this. We'll do that. Yes. No, not quite. Yes, it is. I'm sure you're all wondering what this is. While the opening ceremony was rounding up, we were having the voting for the Medical Woman of the Year. And the results are out now. And she is Dr. Batulu Isa Muhammad of Adamawa State. So we're going to give her her check. Anybody can come and represent her and collect it, because I know she's not here. I'm going to write her name. Can you come and collect it on her behalf? Is that Dr. Asabe? Who is that? From which state? Adamawa. All right. So you are going to collect this check and send it to her. She should expect the real cash in her account as quickly as possible. Do we go forward? I think we should go forward. Yes. Oh, Esther, our life member. Oh, wow. All right, so this is a check of 100,000 given to the Medical Woman of the Year. This is one of the things MWAN does to promote our women who have excelled in leadership. decorate 3 life members. And so we are going to call on Dame Okara, our member of the Board of Trustees. We're going to call on Dr. Esther from Adamawa State. And we're also going to call on Dr. Petronila Akpan from Edo State. Please come and receive your decoration as life member of MWAN since the year 2021. So while they are coming up, I'm going to present the one they actually asked me to do. This one is by the side. They want me to present the award to our guest speaker so that she can leave. We want to appreciate you for your patience, ma'am. We hope that you will not miss your transportation. On behalf of the Medical Women's Association of Nigeria, I'm honored to be presenting this distinguished award of excellence for all you have done for us and all what you're doing in Nigeria and beyond. Thank you and God bless you.
Every day by day, I just they celebrate. Oh. Everything I do, we just they penetrate. Oh. I just want to say, oh, thank you, Jehovah. See, I'm living large, I get angels so for my ghetto.
So we are also doing the same for Kadewole. Thank you, sir, for all you are doing for MWAN, for women, now and beyond. In Nigeria and beyond. Congratulations.
I call you if I follow one day you must pray. See I come from East the end the street brother you know. I don't do this to you already know. I know now you mundo ngeta yefe. Oh now you me gon get to ya o.
Please, while we are going down, let me do my decoration. Please, can I have...
It's moisture on the big baby. It's moisture on the big baby.
Please, can we just wait for the group photograph? Our guest lecturer, Professor Adewale, please. Let's quickly take the group photograph. May I ask the national president, please, to join them downstairs to take the group photograph. Thank you. While we are going out, may I invite the Nije cultural group from the University of Ibadan, please. You can now have your performance. And as they do that, please, let's focus on the beautiful cultural performance of the Nije cultural group from the University of Ibadan.
Ó ṣọ́jú ìyọnu Ọlọ́run ọba ìyanu ọlọ́run ọba, ìyanu ọlọ́run ọba, ìyanu ọlọ́run ọba, ìyanu ọlọ́run ọba, ẹlẹ́wọ̀n rí. Àánú mo rí gbà
Recording in progress.
Please, those who did not have tea break. Listen to this special announcement. If you did not have tea break earlier on, tea break and tea and lunch break combined, kindly go upstairs to have your tea break and lunch. Thank you.
our forefathers.
They took away my forefathers.
From Africa to America.
Some 400 years ago, they took away my forefathers. From Africa to America.
My forefathers took along their music.
They took along the
And
music.
some became jazz.
Distinguished delegates, I'd like to remind you that as soon as lunch is over, we'll have the next scientific session at 3:30 p.m., which would consist of the poster presentation. So please do come back after lunch. Thank you. We also want to remind you that we have exhibitors at the back of the hall. So please attend to them as you go out. Thank you.
Is it difficult for us to live in peace? Why, to love each other? What exactly are you looking for? Remember this vanity. One day you will go, leave everything behind. For yonder you must give account to you. Oh, batete kulu 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 tempa. My brother, kulu kulu kulu, my sister, kulu kulu kulu, temba. My brother, let's share together. Why you fight each other? Let's be friends, not be enemy. And you know many roads like the sky. Winds never touch, anger would only bring destruction. God Almighty, give your children patience in you. Eba fesa kulu 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 tempa. Kulu tempa. Sima sima, sima sima. Hey hey, sima sima, sima sima. Hey hey, kulu tempa.
My bankalado, Badam GJ, Bagam,
Yeah. Oh, no, no, no.
God, I'm thanking you, 'cause everything belongs to you. No. I praise you, Papa, for everything I get now you. Bishop una ega digo, iyo gogo, kenje nanke bishop una ifa digo. Hey,
Onye neme ma, you are the owner of my life. Jehovah Jireh, you're the builder of my world. I will bow down to you anytime, every day, anywhere.
Okay, I will give you all the praise. Now you they make my life the bagam. My checking all the bounce. My mansion on a badam. Make you take a look around. My bank alerts na bagam. My checking all the bounce. My mansion on a badam. Make you take a look around. God, I'm thanking you, cause everything belongs to you. I praise you, Papa, for everything I get now you. Bishop una ega digo. Bishop una ifa digo. Papa mudinye ogaranya gidi egwu agụ na chemba ọkwa gị si anyị gbaba egwunu isi anyị tibe egwunu ebelebe egwu. Receive the blessing. Baba God is interesting. If you believe me, put your hands up in the air. Receive the blessing. Baba God is interesting. You they make my life the bagger. Every day by day, I just they celebrate. Everything I do, we just they penetrate. I just want to say, oh, thank you, Jehovah. See, I'm living large, I get angels so for my ghetto. Never forget where I come from, not from ghetto. Oh, no, 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 no. I just want to say, oh, thank you, Jehovah. Who reckon any what to go, Father, Father, I call look if I follow one day you must pray. See I come from East the end the street brother you know. Is it me I come to Beast you already know. Him I know now yellow mundo get oh now yellow me go get to ya oh. Him I need rap up get the head. Ọ̀gá mi ẹnu gbẹ, ọ̀rẹ́ mi ẹnu gbẹ, aláyé ẹnu gbẹ, wàláyé ẹnu gbẹ. Owó wà lọ́wọ́ yín, ẹ jẹ́ ká bá iná. Epo wà lọ́wọ́ yín, ẹ jẹ́ ká bá ilà. Ẹ lè náwó yẹn tán, ẹ lè lépo yẹn tán, ẹ lè náwó yẹn tán, ẹ lè lépo yẹn tán. Owó wà lọ́wọ́ yín, ẹ jẹ́ ká bá iná. Epo wà lọ́wọ́ yín, ẹ jẹ́ ká bá ilà. Tony Elumelu, bàbá mi jó sílù, Fẹ́mi ọ̀tẹ́ dọ́là, ẹná mi ní dọ́là, aṣíwájú Jagaba, Ghana must go back, ọba ẹlẹ́gùṣì, ẹná mi kúkúṣì, aṣíwájú ti bínú, wọ́n ní mi ò mọ̀ lọ, wọ́n ní kí n yé gbé Ghana must go wá sílé àwọn ní bọ́dí lọ, ọmọ bullion van, lọ́ fi gbé wá fún mi, Dàpọ̀ Abíọ́dún, ó yí bíríbírí kọ́ mi, ọ̀gá mi ẹnu gbẹ, ọ̀rẹ́ mi ẹnu gbẹ, aláyé ẹnu gbẹ, wàláyé ẹnu gbẹ, owó wà lọ́wọ́ yìí, ẹ̀jẹ̀ ká bá iná. Hello, Malia. Ṣé bá mọ Jésù ni wọ̀? Bẹ́sẹ̀ kò tẹ̀ ṣì mọ́lẹ̀. Bẹ́sẹ̀ náà, bẹ́sẹ̀ kò tẹ̀ ṣì mọ́lẹ̀. Ṣé bá mọ Jésù ni wọ̀? Bẹ́sẹ̀ kò tẹ̀ ṣì mọ́lẹ̀. Bẹ́sẹ̀ náà, bẹ́sẹ̀ kò tẹ̀ ṣì mọ́lẹ̀. Tẹ̀ ṣì mọ́lẹ̀. Bẹ́sẹ̀ kò tẹ̀ ṣì mọ́lẹ̀. Bẹ́sẹ̀ náà, bẹ́sẹ̀ kò tẹ̀ ṣì mọ́lẹ̀. Tẹ̀ ṣì mọ́lẹ̀. Báṣálẹ̀ tẹ̀ ṣì mọ́lẹ̀. Bẹ́sẹ̀ náà, ìwọ́jà tẹ̀ ṣì mọ́lẹ̀. Ṣé mo dà kọ́ta? Ṣé wọ́n tẹ̀ mí sí your culture? Abos, ṣèbí yẹn ni kò mọ gọ́fà. Má lọ fà o, it's not for children, má lọ fà. Ó lọ fà, ó lọ jìnnà, ó lọ fà. Àwa wà o, àwọn nìkan má lọ fà. DJ Kawa is George. Ọ̀pápá, àwọn ló ṣàlù. DJ Kawa is George. Yeah. I go a day, I'm a mock and what time they go on. Cause I pull up in the mountain, that's all.
Pasa makikada guapo. Agotoka maka wukade zone. Kechibi makisim ne mwako. Past life na wukade guano. Nana bani boga iti abo. Yeah, Fino on the highway. Fino on the highway. Here is the highway. Here is the highway. Omaka highway. Omaka highway. Shalom na highway. Shalom na highway. Awam na highway. Awam na highway. Chubia na highway. Chubia na highway. Bora banyaiwe. Bora banyaiwe. Look on the wine. Look on the wine. Baka. And I must be. Baka. 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 Badia. Baka. Baka. Butife here. Agreement. On your brother, Jack Papia, Butife there. So no way can come. A second street, no come. Listen to the tip on 100. Money to the man in car country. Fino on your highway. Fino on your highway. You are the highway. You are the highway. Omaka highway. Omaka highway. Shalom na highway. Shalom na highway. Awam na highway. Awam na highway. Chubia na highway. Chabo bora banyaiwe. Bora banyaiwe. Lebanjo waile. Lebanjo. Che baka. Baka. Even if not 10 minutes, maybe I'm a cat. Masirajilo moto, progress in auto, automatic. Over me a photo. Let me get up. That's for that. Only one body. I'm not feeling. I drip on check out to one boss. Imole. Oh, wale. When I do this up, I'm moving on my room. Mama, don't go. Yeah, I don't want to I don't pray I don't want to be no fire. I know there is a day all my friends will go away. So then I party away. I know there is a day all my friends will go away. So then I smoke it away. I feel good, banana, banana. I'm a yummy banana, banana. If you don't have money, hide your face. You can call me small doctor. I'm on your teacher. What's it got penalty? Come on, better, yeah, man. So, yeah, man. So, oh yeah,
on the
ṣe mímọ́ ṣe àdóríyọ̀. Àánú mo rí gbà àdóríyọ̀. Ọmọ aládé àlàáfíà àdóríyọ̀. Àyìndé ọmọ aládé àlàáfíà àdóríyọ̀. Ìran ẹ̀yà kìnìún Júdà àdóríyọ̀. Gbogbo ìdílé Jésè àdóríyọ̀. Àánú mo rí gbà àdóríyọ̀.
Mama piano, mama manga bagon. I be good bad boy, no choice. Been in the game not long. She be now we sing a song. Extraordinary things I'm doing. Ordinary things don't move me again. Extraordinary things I'm doing. Ordinary things don't move me again. Again, no. Ṣé ohun tí o fẹ́ ṣe? Kí ló fẹ́ ṣe? Ṣé ohun tí o fẹ́ ṣe? Nigga no dey give me headache. Ṣé ohun tí o fẹ́ ṣe? Kí ló fẹ́ ṣe? Ṣé ohun tí o fẹ́ ṣe? Nigga no dey give me headache. Yeah. Oh, we in the club all night. Many things I don't try. Mama boy don't ask. Gas me up, no time. I'm sending, I don't know why.
All my ladies, I get money, get it. Rock you, sangre, till the morning, sangre, na 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 na, oh na na, oh na na na, oh na na na, oh na na na, thankful for all he has done. So me, I wanna have some fun. Steady rocking to the early morning. Call your friends, them, make them come. Yes, I go see a star was fun. I'm a dunk Leon, come get some. I'm on the run. Enemies, them, fire ban. Buga dum, they say, no man can say, ale, get money, all my ladies, Yahoo ni babaláwo, everybody, ẹni lẹ mọ bá ṣáà ní bàráwò. Ó fẹ́ ṣe kà fún mi, mi ò lógún mo ní Kúránì. Mo lè ṣàdúrà mi, bí ṣe ṣàdúrà mi, alágbàdúrà mi. Àti lọ àti dé, ẹ̀yìn orí yọ ó délé. Ẹni bá lọ ló bá dé, ìgbà tí padà dé, ṣe ló dé mi ládé. Kádé kó pẹ́ lórí, bí bàtà kó pẹ́ lẹ́sẹ̀. Sọ́wọ́n dá mi kan lẹ́sẹ̀, báwọn gẹ̀ẹ́sì gbá ìkan kan lẹ́sẹ̀. Inside life, no to get five life. Inside life, no to get deep life. Inside life, on con jaya, on con chop life. Inside life, on con shake, on con jewa. Just so big, kicking just so big. Because if it's just so big, no sell the FCC, one just so big. To my near on Lego, just so big. So big, but I ain't just so big. So big, I bet you know so big. Sing it for that just so big. So big, I don't know more, the balance so big. Show the woman. Go what's up, Manara? Oh, lover. You was a Sessinera. Jaffe dinner, take a girl from my shake Biaja. One Benny, my fault, one no fair walla. I just want to make mama cry. They want to make mama cry. Mama, gonna cry no more. They pass some food from herself. Inside life.
she bad. Mo tell you kakai, you can go find it. Give me somebody, she want make her come call you. I'm gonna make you one body, yeah. Hey baby, you know what it is. Okay, bring her the baby. Down, girl, go down, down. Lady, sound, girl, down, down. I'm in love, I said I'm in love, baby, let me go by you. When you stand, I'm under you. Oh, na na na. Because I swear God, yeah, I'm killing them shot. Because I swear God, yeah, I'm killing them shot. Because I swear God, yeah, I'm killing them shot. Because I swear God, yeah, I'm killing them shot. Because I swear God, if I kill them back. Rah, 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 we got to win them like that. Oh, God, let's know, yeah, better jack. That's all, yeah. You know they kula kula la. Jala mi jala. Betty money, na 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 na. Money alone. You make the money rush like Indomie. Suppose that you are what I love it. Baby, show my Giuseppe's a naughty. Come on, see I'm killing them shot. Because I swear God, if I kill them back. Rah, 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 we got to win them like that.
Musicstudio.com.
Jerusalem, Ikayalami, Gilondoloze, Ambenami, Zungangishilana, Jerusalem, Ikayalami, Gilondoloze, Ambenami, Zungangishilana. Oh, you are gonna, I'm not perfect. Came from ruthless times as a juvenile. Look into my eyes, see pain and sacrifice. What's goes on my mind? Trying to survive. Tomaka emo uru, oti uru si uru. Mi wan wa mi ni uru, toju koju. Ni heritage suru, time sing suru. Lati rasi uru, lati uru.
Makanaki. Wanna make love on the moon, dancing to my tunes. Is it too much? It's not too much. I wanna be on forces, if wishes were horses. Is it too much? It's not too much. If I want money, I do what I got to say. If I want money, I'ma buy my shoto, I'ma buy my foya, I'ma buy me. Yeah, yeah. I wanna be a billionaire, billionaire, yeah, yeah. I wanna be a billionaire, billionaire, yeah, yeah. Yalla, anybody, yeah. I wanna be a billionaire, billionaire, I wanna be a billionaire, billionaire. I wanna wake up in a Lamborghini. I want to fly for
You wanna get down? Tell me, what you gonna do? Do you wanna get down? What you gonna do? You wanna get down? What you gonna do? You wanna get down? Tell me. Get down on it. Get down on it. Get down on it. Get down on it. Come on and get down on it. Get down on it. Get down on it. Get down on it. How you gonna do it if you really don't wanna dance? By standing on the wall. Get your back up off the wall. Tell me, how you gonna do it if you really don't wanna dance? By standing on the wall. Get your back up off the wall. I heard all the people saying, get down on it. Come on then, get down on it. If you really want it, get down on it. You gotta feel it, get down on it. Get down on it, get down on it. Come on then, get down on it. Baby, baby, get down on it. Get on it, get down on it. I say people, what you gonna do? You gotta get on the groove if you want your body to move. Tell me, baby, how you gonna do it if you really don't wanna dance? By standing on the wall. Get your back up.
Your favorite boy, techno on the beat.
I spend some money, popping in my name. You know I got bottles in my name. I got shopping in my name. You know I got flexing in my name. You know I got jumping in my name. Maybe I got jumping in my name. You know I got all the girls like that. When I post on my page, they're right back. You know all the boys that hate that, and I just do them.
Oh, yes, I can find it in you. See, if I'm to choose, girl, I choose you. If I'm to lose, girl, I want to lose with you. They say that I will, girl, I see truth in you. You, she walk on it for me. Do you really care? Show me bomb for me, baby. Show me in the town. To be sincere, I will do almost anything for you. Anything for you. Yeah, cherish you. I stand for you. I would lie for you, but I feel like for you. In the night, girl, I'm down for you. Girl, I'm down. Oh, yeah.
If you buy infinity, would you buy for me? When I make activity, would you come for she's? Are you gonna dance you? If I show you my money, are you gonna dance you? If I show you the way, are you gonna dance you? If I show you my pockets, baby, are you gonna dance you? If I show you my wallet, I will show you the money. Baby, dance from you. Baby, move from you. Don't go from you. I will show you the money. Baby, dance from you. Show me your body. Don't go from you. African, 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 baby, baby. Ooh, yeah. See, African, 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 baby, baby. I don't, yeah. The money too much, I'm dashing. Are you feeling my singing? I whatever you're thinking. Can't you see what I'm feeling? Lagos to Dubai, Abuja to Missouri, go back to Mumbai. Now with the music they want to dance to. Are you gonna dance you? If I show you my money, are you gonna dance you? If I show you the way, are you gonna dance you? If I show you my pockets, baby, are you gonna dance you? If I show you my wallet, I will show you the money. Baby, that's from you. Baby, move from you. Don't go from you. I will show you the money. I will. Baby, dance from you. Show me your body. Don't go from you. Mini, money, more. Baby, give me all your love. Mini, money, more. Go take your love for granted.
Hip life, hip hop.com.
Shower your place. We want this money. I beg God make me shower your place. We want this money. Sufficient for the one left. I love you all the lady you can let. You know what it's more common malambe. I want the chapel in Lojo one bed. If I go fast, I go fast. Oko or October for glass. I don't also play, I don't fast. Come on, they should go walk fast. I will take you to